Three things. One of the biggest metal acts of 1980, Pinball, and a 16-bit console. Put them all together, and what do you get? Crueball. And that's what we're going to look at today. So I'm going to do a review of the 1992 Sega Mega Drive version of Crueball. Whoa! Heavy metal rules. All that punk shit doesn't fucking belong here, man. It belongs up on fucking Mars somewhere. And Madonna, she can go to hell. She's a dick. Motley Crue, Iron Maiden, Def Leppard, they all rule. Let's check this out. Crueball was released in 1992, developed by NewFX and published by Electronic Arts, and was officially endorsed by the band Motley Crue. It's a pinball simulation game, with the controls being the right D-pad controller button and the C button on the Mega Drive. This controls all of the flippers on the pinball machine, with the A button used to release the ball. You progress through the game by achieving the highest score and unlocking different points and further levels in the game. It features Motley Crue's mascot Alistair Fiend, and there is a slight plot in the game where Alistair wants to play music all night but is thwarted by the Keeper of the Wall and must play through 9 pinball levels to achieve this. The game has a heavy metal soundtrack throughout and features 3 Motley Crue songs: Livewire, Dr. Feelgood and Home Sweet Home. However, all of the soundtrack is heavy metal and there is some really good music on this soundtrack. And it is really great to hear heavy metal being played on a 16-bit console. The gameplay is fast-paced and very addictive once you get the hang of controlling the flippers. I remember a lot of pinball games that came out around this time, especially for the 16-bit era with the consoles and also the Commodore Amiga. I think pinball is probably the best on these kind of consoles. I don't know, just when it moved up to the 32-bit it just wasn't the same. The pinball was always really good on this one. I really enjoyed playing pinball games on the 16-bit platform. Motley Crue were added to the game late in development, with it originally being called Twisted Flipper, then moving on to the title Headbangers Ball, which MTV then got involved because of their show Headbangers Ball, which used to air on MTV at the time. Yeah, Headbangers Ball was my first introduction into heavy metal really. I was about 10 and we used to watch MTV on Sunday night because Beavis and Butthead used to come on, and then Headbangers Ball was after it, so normally watch a bit of that before we went to bed on Sunday. But me and my brother Liam would always watch Beavis and Butthead religiously, even though we were way too young to watch it, but it was awesome. And then Headbangers Ball afterwards was Ricky Rackman, which was class. I wish I could go back and watch them all now because there were some amazing bands on at the time. The release of the game was at a turbulent time for Motley Crue, with their popularity dwindling due to the emergence of the grunge scene and with Vince Neil leaving the band as well in 1992. It came out around that time where they would have been at a crossroads in their career. So I mean around this time and in the later 1990s, Motley Crue were known not for the music really, it was what the shenanigans that they got up to, especially with Tommy Lee, with the Pamela Anderson thing, and still, I mean, it was serious what he did and how they've managed to put that behind them now, and they are still touring. I know Mick Mars has had to retire due to health issues, but the core of the band did stick together for nearly 4 decades, which is remarkable really compared to many of the metal bands always get replacements, and a lot of the bands going around now have like maybe one original member. With Motley Crue, they sort of found out that each member was irreplaceable. When they tried to replace like Tommy Lee and Vince Neil, it just didn't work. And obviously with Mick Motley, physically can't play anymore due to health reasons. He can't tour, which is really sad, but it's the legacy of Motley Crue that lives on now. You don't necessarily need to be a fan of Motley Crue to play this, and I think that's what appealed to it. A lot of kids at the time and teenagers would have picked up the game, really enjoyed it as a pinball game, enjoyed the soundtrack, then would have went out and maybe looked into buying like Motley Crue albums, because obviously there was no internet back then in '92, or it was one in its infancy, that you couldn't really download MP3, so they would have, the only way to do it would have been go to the record shop and buy the CDs and the albums. So I think they would have got a boost from this anyway. And I know the 16-bit tracks do sound good, but you want to listen to the real thing, and I think it was really good publicity for them to do this. I'm really pleased I did see Motley Crue in 2006 at Download Festival. That was such a cool gig. Played in the tent and it was just amazing. Remember them playing Dr. Feelgood live, and I thought, these are amazing. When you see a band that had been touring and playing for like 30 years at the best, they were just fantastic. And I just love Motley Crue. Like, I love the band itself, and this is a really good tribute to them. I think I was so pleased when I got this game. It still holds up today and it's lots of fun to play. The soundtrack is great and the gameplay is fast paced and very fun. It makes you want to play more and more, and like with a lot of pinball games around this era, I really enjoy it, and it's really fun to just pick up and play for about up to an hour. You can just play it and just forget about everything and just play it. So I really enjoy this one. All out enjoyable experience. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments any other obscure licensed games that you remember. I've got quite a few, so if I've got them I'll do a review. I just want to say a shout out to my wife Jen, who helped me with the makeup earlier and who was very patient with me when I was showing her what to do, and I got a bit excited with the girls video, but never mind. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this one anyway, and I hope to see you soon in another video.